This is a story of a hitmaker, one who has had an unchallenged musical career. He is known for various hits like Neria, Ndakuvara, and the list goes on and on and on. His tunes are unforgettable. In a span of more than 40 years, this man has over 60 albums to his credit. His name, Oliver Mtukudzi.
Being on stage, it's like a holy place. It's somewhere where you showcase what you can do best. Not everybody is able to go on stage. It's a place of the chosen few. So it's a special place.
Oliver Mtukudzi, also affectionately known as Tuku by his fans, is one of Zimbabwe's best songwriters and musicians. His guitar and husky voice have become a brand and have earned him a huge international following and a deep admiration at home.
Who is amazing. I think he's the best in the country, best performer. For me, I'm inspired by what he does. You know, as an artist, when he gets on stage, he means business.
In his real life, he's a bit more on the quiet side. He's a bit on the quiet side, but on stage, he's a different person. On stage, he's an animal. You start thinking, is this the same person off stage? Is it the same person on stage? On stage, he comes on fire.
I'm a self-taught guitarist, and when I learned the guitar, I think I must have learned it the wrong way. And a lot of guitarists and so on used to say, hey, he's not a good player, you can't play like that, you have to play it like this. But I'm glad that it was a blessing in disguise, because it created what's now today is called Tuku music.
Oliver was born in September of 1952 in Highfield, a township situated 10 kilometers from Zimbabwe's capital, Harare, during the height of British rule.
Magadi. Right, this is where I grew up. I actually grew this tree, this mango tree. This is home now. We all grew up here, and as the eldest son, I was also responsible of educating the younger peers. So this is where I grew up.
Tuku was born into a musical family. His parents met at a choir competition, and eventually this talent was passed down to him and his younger brother, Robert Mtukudzi.
Well, during the time when I grew up, I used to sing. I had this passion of singing a song that nobody else knows. So I used to create my own songs and sing. And of course, the way I was influenced by my parents were also singers. I think the most disappointing point that my father had with me in music is when we stole his clothes and put on, and because we were not, as youngsters, we were not allowed in the beer hall, and there was a band called Harare Mambos that used to play in the nearby beer hall. And I took my young brother, we went there, and Mr. Jangano gave me a chance to get hold of an electric guitar on stage. And me and my brother, and we played there, and people were happy. Now, the next day, my father's friends told my father that, oh, your son was in the piano, he was playing for it, it was very good. That's the only time I was hit by my father.
During the 1950s, all through to the 1970s, many African countries waged war against white imperialism. Zimbabwe was no exception to this reality. After years of struggle, the country freed itself of white rule in April of 1980, with Robert Mugabe as its first prime minister.
When I left school, I stayed for about 3.5 years or so without getting a job. And the system then never really accommodated applications from blacks. So that was painful, but that's how the life was then. The regime then didn't think of art to be a weapon against them. So they allowed us to sing. And it was all up to the artist to pass on the messages that would help him or help the nation grow and understand the situation we were in. So artists like me, we used proverbs, idioms, and we knew that a Shona-speaking person would understand exactly what we're talking about without really mentioning the meaning. All those songs talked about what we are and who we are, and they talked about the situation we are. That it's not a right for somebody else to determine your destiny. Strange, isn't it? How people talk about subjects they don't understand.
Mtukudzi's ascent in the music industry had humble beginnings, but his biggest break happened right outside his door. Brighton Matevere, a famous radio personality with the Rhodesian Broadcasting Corporation, RBC, invited Oliver to the studio. And that was his launch pad to fame, because his tunes attracted the right people in the music industry.
I was discovered from here, right here. I used to sit on a dustbin here and play my guitar. And Brighton Matevere was in love with a girl that stayed next door. So I used to come and see his girlfriend, but he would come where I am and wait for his girl. So it all happened here until he got hooked up with my music, and he took me to the radio. That's how it all started. And when I performed in his program, that's when the record company heard about me, and they looked for me, and I did my first recording. That was in 1975.
Mtukudzi's first professional job did not pay. For him, exposure was most important.
It wasn't about money, it wasn't about business. I just enjoyed doing what I do, and I just did it. And I didn't even know that I'm supposed to be paid for that.
Ndipewa Zano, which means Give Me Advice, was Oliver's first album, which he released in 1975. And from then on, Oliver and his band, the Black Spirits, continued scaling the charts. Today, Oliver has walked down memory lane. This is Mushandira Pamwe Hotel, a place where all the action happened. Most musical giants of the time performed here.
This is Simon Chimbedu and Machesu.
This is also where Oliver's career solidified. And for over a decade, the walls of this hotel became home for the Black Spirits.
And one of the memories of this place is when we took equipment upstairs. And we had these huge boxes, huge PA boxes, bass bins. And each time we were going to perform here, taking those boxes upstairs is one of the memories I will never forget about these stairs, carrying those big boxes. Yeah. This is where all fun happened. Wow, it's changed. And that used to be my favorite corner. That's where we used, when we take a break, we'd go to that corner and sit on the sofas there. Yes, Baba.
The hits came streaming in year after year, and he did not disappoint. Bombera is a metaphorical song. Oliver compares life's social classes to a train.
So Bombera in that song, that's why he even spoke of the noise, the hey kacha kacha, hey kocho kocho. Because when you're in there, it's just anything goes, and you can't complain because you've paid for Bombera. But if you're in first class, you expect comfort. Same is life, you know.
Bombera is about a direction. That if you're in a train and you are in the first class and I'm in the fourth class, no one is better than the other. We're all going to get to this destination same time. And as long as the train is going our direction, then we are in the right direction.
I love, he goes, Wombiro, wombi, pemberere, pemberere, wombiro, wombi, pemberere. It's at that part of the song, he's just making chants, trying to get people to feel the music, you know, get it into the system. So it's my favorite part of the song.
Oliver is unique. Unique in that he has his own style of playing. If you hear his strumming, you can easily say that's Oliver. He sings about real life. And when he sings about real life, everybody who plays Oliver's music will relate to the music in one way or another. So his relevance can be told and told and told forever.
We talk about our pain. We talk about our frustrations. Oh yes, we talk about our joys.
Why do we sing? Why is there art? Art is to give life and hope to the people. Art is for healing the broken hearts. Like as Zimbabweans, you don't get to sing a song when you have nothing to say.
As Oliver and the Black Spirits became bigger by the day, disaster loomed. (1996) was a year that was either to make or break Oliver's career when 4 of his band members fell victim to HIV/AIDS. All 4 eventually succumbed to the disease.
During that time, HIV was, whenever you'd be, like, you're tested and you're found to be HIV, it was like a death warrant. You're gone. Everybody might not even want to associate much with you. But in the band, that thing visited the band. So people were just going to the extent where instead of feeling the pain, that's why he had a song in there which said, it no longer makes sense. That time, it became just too much to bear for one company, as we call it, Tuku Music, to lose so much people, one after the other.
Oliver's younger brother, Robert Mtukudzi, was not spared either.
If you lose a brother, you get affected. If you lose band members, you get affected. I got affected because more so, I lost 4 members of the band, including my brother, in a space of 2 months. And that was a big blow in my life and in my career. So, yeah, it's not an easy thing. And it's something that you can't, it's something that I have to learn to live with.
What shall we do? Since you are what shall we do? Since you are
Toddy is a song that I wrote. The song is about the stigma attached to HIV and AIDS. I had sang songs about the HIV and AIDS awareness, but on Toddy, it was after realizing the stigma attached to it. It's a song that's posing questions, and I designed the song to trigger discussion because people couldn't just talk about the disease. And I'm glad to say the song served its purpose.
what shall we do?
His efforts to fight the stigma surrounding the scourge did not go unnoticed, and in 2011, UNICEF appointed Oliver Goodwill Ambassador because of his commitment to fighting the pandemic through his songs.
I was appointed by UNICEF. They appointed me to be a Goodwill Ambassador for children. And I was glad that at least that they appointed me. It meant that they had seen what I'd been doing all along. And I was happy because I thought, oh, so somebody's recognizing what I'm doing.
One of the biggest names in African music, the iconic Oliver Mtukudzi.
Tuku music has made Tuku a household name across the world. His many years of unwavering dedication to creating music are giving him recognition beyond the borders of Africa. One thing is evident: the fans love to dance to his beat. Tuku has been fortunate to share his career with his children. And even though he strongly believes he is not the inspiration behind his children, Selma Mtukudzi thinks otherwise.
But I've adopted his captivating way of performing. You want to dance for people. They want to see what you can do, and if you can dance, show it off. That sort of thing is mainly what I learned from him, what I took also for myself.
Some come and say, oh, your children are following your steps. That's not true. I have my own steps, and my children have their own steps. God doesn't duplicate talent, so they can't be me. They have to be themselves.
In yet another tragedy, Oliver lost his only son, Sam. He died in a car crash on his way home from the airport. Sam was at the peak of his career and was his father's pride. Not many knew if Oliver would survive this loss.
About the departure of Sam, it touched him a lot. And the sad part of it, I was one of the two people who attended the scene of the accident. Our problem now was how to tell Oliver.
My relationship with Sam was like, was more a friend than a son, because we could share a lot. We could be on stage and enjoy being together while we do what we love doing best. And he was somebody who could challenge me, not as a son, but as a friend. And I used to enjoy that. It made me feel closer to him when he does that. And yeah, he was someone who was so talented that I never believed what he could do when I was in the field for a much longer time than him. But he always surprised me when he comes up with something.
It was such a huge blow. It took a long time for him to recover. I'm not saying he's recovered. He goes through challenges sometimes, you know, when he thinks about the son, where Sam would have been right now. And they're very good friends as father and son. But unfortunately, Sam left us too early. I would say he left us too early. He was a very talented boy, and he loved his father very much. But unfortunately, you know, life took him away.
Among Tuku's notable achievements is the Pakare Paye Art Center. His inspiration to build the art center came from his own experience. Growing up, he did not receive support from his parents to pursue music. But now, he is trying to help the youth by giving them the platform to express their art.
This is my legacy, I think. Pakare Paye Arts Center. That's the legacy I'm leaving behind for these youngsters to have somewhere they can showcase what they can do best.
If you go to Pakare Paye, you see somebody who has a vision. First time he took me there and said, Bob, I'm going to turn this into an arts cultural center. I looked at him and said, oh boy. It was an almost junkyard. A disused panel beater's shed with tall grass on the other side and tall grass. And then he was saying, I will have a stage here. And this. I didn't doubt him, but I thought this guy will not manage this in a short period. But if you go there today and you tell people that this was a panel beater's shed.
Pakare Paye simply means that place. The inspiration of Pakare Paye Art Center really is fighting attitude, because the problems I faced when I started, especially with my parents, is still around. Parents, until today, they impose what they want their children to be. Because we are dealing with disadvantaged children. They always come looking for comfort. And at Pakare Paye, we offer facilities for them to perform freely.
Oliver Mtukudzi has been described as a living legend, and he is among the few artists to have a beat to his name. Tuku music.
Well, personally, I was the last person to know that the music is Tuku music. Me, I describe it as African music born off Zimbabwe. But my fans labeled it Tuku music. And when I tried to find out why, I got the information that in every song of mine there are elements, fused elements, and they couldn't place whether my music is Mbira music or is it GT, is it Katekwe, is it, they couldn't place it really where it is. So they thought, just call it Tuku music.
Being a #1 fan, I hope the Lord all keeps us, because that means I'm sure He's got a lot of surprises for us.
Legacy, you have said. There is one statement that Oliver always says. Oliver says if you produce a piece of art and it hits the market loud, it's not you, the individual, it's the art. He's a philosopher. So I think I want Oliver to be recognized and remembered as a philosopher.
Oh, my dad's legacy. He's put Zimbabwe on the map. He's been the biggest art, export in Zimbabwe. And all artists right now look up to him to get to his level, and hopefully surpass. But he's set a standard for so many of us that we can do it. We can reach, all these levels and get even beyond. So he's been an amazing inspiration to the arts industry in Zimbabwe, and I believe in Africa as a whole.
His musical journey has been inspiring in laughter and even tears, but through it all, he still remains the hitmaker.
Life is not about regrets. Life is about defeating challenges. It's only challenges, no regrets, no.
Nigeria.